Well, there are a lot of weird ways you can wreck your credit score without even realizing it. For example, not paying a parking ticket or failing to return a library book can even do some serious damage. Well, financial specialist Skip Cowan joins us with the details. Hello, Skip.
Good morning. How are you, Nikki?
I'm great. You know, who would think a library book, right? I mean, so what are some of the strange but true ways that our credit scores can actually take a hit?
Well, you know, and some of these are really interesting. And the first one that pops in my head is canceling credit cards.
Okay.
Now, one would think that if you've got a lot of credit cards and a lot of debt, just cancel the cards and maybe you're zero balance, and you would think that that would help you.
I thought that was.
Just the opposite is true.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's just because the debt to credit ratio is one of the most important things in the credit score.
Okay.
So when the credit bureaus look at your score, they look at how much debt you've got relative to the amount of credit you have available.
Okay.
The lower the ratio, the better off you are. So the smart thing to do is leave those accounts open. Don't charge on them, but leave it open.
But leave them open.
Leave
so when
them
people
open.
say cut up those credit cards, it's actually not a good idea.
It really isn't.
How
really
interesting
isn't. Isn't that
is.
interesting?
That is.
Yeah.
And another thing is failing to notify the post office of your new address in a timely manner. I've probably done that a million times. I move all the time.
Well, yeah, a lot of folks move all the time, apartment to apartment, whatever, and you just kind of get complacent about it. You think, well, you know, I'll catch up on it in a couple.
Sure.
If your bills don't catch up with you quickly,
Oh, yes.
you've got a problem.
Good point.
And I don't know how many times I've done this myself. You know, I just forget about the bill's not in front of me, so I don't think about it.
So true.
And trust me on this. Credit card companies, cell phone companies, you're 30 days late, you're going to get reported. And, and Nikki, it stays on there for a long time. It stays on there for months, maybe even years, that late payment, yeah.
Well, for that reason alone, then, would you recommend maybe doing more of your bills online?
Absolutely.
You would?
Yeah, it makes absolute sense to me.
Okay,
Why would you use postage anymore?
I know, right? It's so true.
Oh,
but and you get those reminders, and you know that you can pay timely because no matter whether you're at work or home or wherever.
It doesn't matter. Then you don't have to worry about the mail situation at all.
Good tip. And you also say that we should not ask our banker to check our credit score?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, why wouldn't we?
I always thought you could walk into your bank and say, hey, pal, would you check my credit score because I want to get it for free, right?
Right.
I don't want to spend this $10 to get my credit score. I understand that.
Right.
But keep this in mind. When a banker pulls up your credit score or your credit report, it's what they call a hard hit.
Why? What does that mean?
A hard hit is like every time you go to inquire about credit, say you're buying a car.
Okay.
Or you're out shopping for a car. And the car salesman says, hey, let me check your credit.
Right.
I always recommend don't do that.
That affects your credit score.
Every time. In fact, it'll lower your score 5 to 15 points for every hit.
My dad told me that when I was a teenager. I thought that was alarming, and so it's the truth, huh?
Well, it is absolute truth, and it's so don't ask your banker buddies to do this. Spend the $10, and when you acquire yourself, it's a soft hit. It doesn't have that same effect.
Wow, great advice. And another thing, ignoring fines, and a lot of us have done that, big or small, that can actually ding that credit score as well?
My wife and I were having a discussion last night about this very thing. We were talking about a library fine.
Okay.
She has a $7 library fine that goes back, I don't know, 5, 6 years.
Okay.
She hasn't paid it.
Uh-oh.
It went to collection.
No, it didn't. For $7?
For $7, it goes to collection.
Unbelievable.
And we paid it, but guess what's on our credit report? A collection.
Seriously?
Yeah, well, think about it. Municipalities are out of their mind in terms of looking for money.
You know, a big one used to be the video store, when you used to rent videos and you used to have the late fees. But now nobody's really doing that anymore, thankfully. But now with Netflix and other things, I know that's another thing. So library books, movies, all of that.
Library books now come in electronic form, right?
That's
so you rent the disc, you go home, you play it, you read the book, it's all terrific. You forget to take the darn thing back.
Isn't it true?
You get a library fine if they send you to collection?
Unbelievable.
Oh, it is.
Over $7.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
And then the big fine situation is interesting, too.
What is that?
Let's say you're driving through Arizona, right?
Okay.
And you're just tootling along, not paying attention, and you're maybe 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. So bingo, you know, the lights come in, and you get pulled over.
We've all been there.
And you get the ticket. And you think to yourself, right, I don't live in Arizona. What do I care about this ticket? I'm not going to pay it, right?
Sure.
Forget about it.
Seriously?
Citations are considered to be debt. That debt is owed to the county.
Oh, my gosh.
It's owed to the state. Whoever wrote that citation, they're going to send you to collection. And parking tickets, same way, kid, same way.
But you can fight them if you need to fight them.
Well, you can dispute whatever you want to dispute.
But that said,
but once the collection notice goes out, it's on your record. Yeah. Try getting it off.
And that you hate seeing, and believe me, I've seen it. It's in big letters, collections, and it's scary. You really want to avoid it. And another thing is paying less than owed on an outstanding debt. That can hurt us as well. So what if we try to negotiate a lower payment or maybe a charge-off?
Well, see, this is interesting to me too.
Okay.
Because let's say you owe an old debt, a medical bill, right?
Okay,
and let's just pick a number, say it's $1,000. So it goes to collection, and you owe it, and but you negotiate with the collection agency, and you agree $700 is what the payoff's going to be.
Okay.
So your thought pattern is it's paid off, right?
But it's not.
But it's not, because there's $300 left over that goes on a charge-off. Now, a charge-off stays on your credit report at least 7 years.
Like bankruptcy?
Well, kind of, yeah. But it's almost as damaging as bankruptcy is.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's awful. So what you've got to make sure, when you negotiate the deal, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
But make sure they put in writing there will be no charge-off. This $300 goes away.
Wow.
And if you don't get that...
emphasize no charge-off.
Right, and it's got to be in writing, Nikki.
Okay.
Don't just take the guy's word for it.
It's great advice. Great advice.
Absolutely.
And another thing I think a lot of people aren't aware of is the fact that a no-limit credit card seems like a great idea, but these can get us into trouble too, right?
I discovered this in my research on this topic, and I have one of those.
Research by shopping?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I have a no-limit credit card.
Okay.
And I asked myself the question, why do I have this?
Right.
Because it's cool, right?
Sure.
I can say to my friends, I have a no-limit credit card.
Yeah, and hey, whatever you need, I've got no limit.
Deal. You know what I found out? What? Credit bureaus look at that as an infinity credit. Instead of saying, well, your credit limit is such, and this is your debt to credit ratio, I have it, and it's hurting my score by 15 to 20 points, and I had no idea.
15 to 20 points.
I'm canceling the card. It's done.
Good. Well, yeah, that one you will cancel.
Yeah, absolutely.
That one's worth it. I mean, many of us look to credit repair services to help boost our credit scores. So finally, tell me, what should we expect from them, and are they even worth the expense?
In a word, no.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Think about this for a second. Somebody's going to repair your credit, okay. You're going to pay him $850 to do that?
No.
Listen, go online, Google credit repair. You will find a list of things you can do personally to help your credit report.
Perfect. Skip, thank you so much. Great advice, as always.
Always a pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you so much for being with us. And coming up next on New Mexico Style, how to turn your backyard into an oasis.